It's not that you haven't played well so far, you have, but you're going to have to play a lot better in conference. I assume that's your attitude going into this conference.
Yeah, I mean, are we pleased with where we're at right now? No question about it. But as you get in this time of the year, you have to do everything better. We have to defend the ball better. We have to defend ball screens better. We got to rebound better. We got to, execute on offense better. We got to be tougher. Everything's got to go up a notch. And one of the things I said from day one with this team is one of the greatest qualities of it is I think we have players individually that can continue to improve during the year, and collectively we can get better during the year. So, we're at a stage in our program where we're a day-by-day program where we got to concentrate on today and just get a little bit better every single day.
Speaking of today, what did you like about this afternoon's practice?
Yeah, I thought we had a great practice this afternoon. I thought our guys were ready to go in terms of our preparation. Basically for the next 18 games, we have 2 days to get ready for every game. And so we have 18 games where you got to move on to the next game, take them one at a time, but then you also take every practice one at a time. Guys' intensity level was good, their focus was good. I think they're excited for conference play to start. I really do, and I think that's always a positive as well. New year comes around, guys know where we're at and know where we want to get to, and know they have to do work every single day to get there.
Is UConn similar at all to any team you've played so far this year?
The one thing that UConn has, obviously, they got great depth in the post with various different big guys that have different skill sets. But they have veteran guards, and 4 of them that just keep rotating, and they're all guards. They can all make guard plays. With obviously Jalen Adams is preseason player of the year. Tariq Gilbert was a McDonald's All-American. I recruited him for 4 years at Georgia Tech. I saw him play when he was a freshman. I saw him play when he was a senior. One of my favorite guards of all time that we recruited. Vital is as good an offensive player and has great athletic ability on the defensive end. And they bring in a grad transfer that was the 6th man of the year last year in the A-10. Started at Nebraska. So they got all the bases covered, and you're starting to see them grow as a team as well. And I think, throughout this conference year, they're going to be a very difficult team to compete against.
Coach, when I watched them, one of the things that really jumped off the page at me was how efficient they were after timeouts. At the same time, USF's been really efficient defensively after timeouts. What were you seeing from the film?
Well, the one thing is, again, sometimes in timeout situations, especially with a new coach, you're able to diagram and make sure everybody knows exactly what to do, because it's maybe not second nature for them because everything's new. The other thing is when you have veteran guards that know how to play, coming out and you tweak a play or you do something special out of a timeout, they're very good at their execution of that. And when you got the guards that they have, they're going to be very, very efficient. We got to figure out a way that our defense is every bit as efficient coming out of those timeouts.
Speaking of efficient, Justin Brown has been really efficient this year. He's shooting it better at all 3 levels, even at the free throw line. Mm-hmm. How has his game evolved since the end of his freshman year?
I think the thing you look at is just the work that he's put in. He's in the gym all the time, not just with us. He comes in on his own, and he's put in the work. And we're in our program. That's one of our core values: is if you put in the work, you don't always know when it's going to pay off, but you got to believe that it's going to pay off. And that's the challenge, because sometimes if you put in the time and get a lot of shots up and improve your game, and maybe it doesn't show in the games themselves, guys get a little discouraged in that. JB's not one of those guys. He just keeps working and working and working. And, we moved him into the starting lineup and his numbers have increased, and I think that was a great response by him.
TJ Lang hasn't played much recently. Is everything all right with him?
Yeah, he's fine. He'll be ready to go on Wednesday night, and we're going to need him. I thought you saw that in the last game. if David isn't shooting the ball well or Quincy isn't shooting the ball well, having another guy that not only can make shots, but also the defense has to be aware of, will be a great benefit for us.
You mentioned their guards, you have to go small at times. You guys up front are so great.
Yeah, you know, they still will play a forward and a center all the time. At times they've gone smaller, and if that's the case, we've been able to do that this year. You know what I mean? We've been able to do that this year. They got, you know, they play so hard on defense. They have great defensive pressure. Having another ball handler out there is something that we're going to have to take a serious look at.
When you looked at your non-conference slate, did you ever think you'd finish 10-2?
You know, I thought we had a chance to have a really good non-conference campaign. I really did. I knew that, you know, the teams that were going to play, there were 50-50 games, so to speak, but if we did what we were supposed to do, we were going to put ourselves in a position to win. And we've won, you know, the 2 games we lost were close games, but we won 3 or 4 close games as well. You know what I mean? And I always say, you know, those last 8 minutes of games really are the biggest factor in your season. If you win all those close games, then you have a great year. If you win most of them, then you have a good year. If you lose most of them, then you usually have an average to poor year. And I've just been pleased with the way we've played those last 8 minutes with everybody being new. You know, a lot of times you count on experience, but not just experience with how we played during those 8 minutes. And I think our guys have done a really good job of playing with the poise and the grit that you need to during those, what we call winning time, those last 8 minutes of the game.
If you could think back to when you were recruiting Lex, one, what was your message to him to get him to come to USF? And 2, did you think that he would be or have as much of an impact on the game 12 games into his freshman year as he has?
Well, you know, I think one of the things that we really sold him on was, you know, the great opportunity he had here. Academics was important to him, so getting a high-level degree was going to be a factor. But the other thing is, you know, we sold him on the fact that this isn't going to be a 4-year relationship. This is a lifetime relationship. And that meant from the day one, making sure that we did everything we needed to do with the academic piece and the eligibility piece and all those different things. But also at the same time, we sold them on the fact that as good as you are right now, we're going to get you better. And when you have a guy that works as hard as he does and wants it as bad as he does, that's a pretty good combination. I thought he could make a big impact because he does stuff even at that time that is unteachable. His knack for the ball, you can't teach that. And the way we play, our system fits that knack very, very well. And I think, you know, one of the biggest things, I never saw him play. I saw him on film, but I never saw him play a game. You know, Coach Arian knew about him, and was the lead recruiter on that. And at the same time, Dwayne Stevens, the associate head coach at Michigan State, saw Putnam play during that year. And I checked with him, and he said he's a Michigan State type player. And that was good enough for me.
Charges. UConn draws a lot of charges, like more than 20 this year. Has that been a point of emphasis?
Well, you know what, they're so good on the ball. It's a different type of charge. It's not a rotation charge a lot. A lot of times it's an offensive foul on the ball where they just get their chest in front, and it's actually the primary defender taking the charge, which is a little different. But they're so good at their ball pressure that they get guards out of control, and they're able to either get in front or rotate in front for charges. But when you add the charges up with their block shots, making good decisions off the bounce is critical in this game. All good?
Thanks, Coach.
All right.